Hello and welcome to the F1 News Zone, the show where we bring you the biggest stories in Formula 1 right now. We're currently in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix weekend, but which stories have caught our attention this week? This week we cover the escalating war of words between Verstappen and Russell, the real reason why Esteban Ocon was dropped for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix by Alpine, and we also react to the FIA President giving himself an award. Yes, he actually did. All that and a whole lot more is in today's show. Let's dive in. So there's a fair few different stories and different angles when it comes to Esteban Ocon and the reasons why he is not taking part in the final race of the 2024 this season, this weekend for Alpine. Now, of course, he has been dropped in favour of Jack Doohan for this single race. According to Alpine, this was apparently to allow him to take part in the post-season Abu Dhabi test, but that's not the whole story really, and Ayao Komatsu, who's the boss of Haas, has basically said this might be a really big faux pas from the French outfit because of course they are in a very big battle with Haas for that 6th place in the Constructors. Indeed, as I record this on Saturday night, Jack Doohan has been in the car and he's qualified P20 and will line up, I believe, most likely P19 on the grid tomorrow. So scoring points of any kind for him will be looking really unlikely. On top of that as well, Pierre Gasly has qualified in P6, which is very impressive, showing that there is pace in that car. But Nico Hülkenberg for Haas, he's qualified in P4, showing that Haas is going to have a really good race potentially tomorrow on Sunday. But let's have a look at what the man himself has said, because Ocon's not really had that much of a say on this other than kind of hinting that it was going to be his final race for Alpine in Qatar after the race. But he's now saying that the reason why he's not present for the final race of the season is because it was the team's decision. So let's have a look at this, guys. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Esteban Ocon claims it was the team's decision to prematurely part ways ahead of the 2024 season finale in Abu Dhabi. Alpine had framed the move in which Jack Doohan was put in Ocon's car this weekend as a negotiated deal to allow the French driver to test for Haas at the same circuit next week. Haas boss Ayao Komatsu, however, contradicted that claim, insisting that Alpine boss Oliver Oakes had agreed to release Ocon for the post-Abu Dhabi test long before the 28-year-old was fired. Fired is a strong word, but alright. He's let go from his contract effectively, but I suppose in effect he's not seen out the end of his contract, so he has been sacked, I guess you could say. We are always very transparent, Alpine boss Oliver Oakes told French media in Abu Dhabi. We always said that we are inclined to let him do the test with Haas, however we also have to do what's in our interest. On the face of it, ousting Ocon for rookie Doohan is an odd move for Alpine, given that the team is just a few points ahead of Haas for a more lucrative 6th in the Constructors' Championship. That is worth tens of millions of euros apparently as well. Oakes, though, didn't see it like that. Without being mean, Esteban's contribution to the team has been limited recently. Ooh, I mean, he did get a podium in Brazil, but okay, let's keep going. L'Equipe quoted him as saying that he has scored very few points and often been eliminated in Q1. I suppose it was a bit of flash in the pan action in Brazil, but still, that's harsh. That is harsh. Not completely unwarranted, but harsh. We also cannot forget that he will be driving for the team with whom we are fighting for 6th in the Constructors' Championship. So it's good that this way there is no doubt. So basically he's saying, well, maybe he'll have mixed loyalties in this race coming up, which he might have done, but I don't know. I really don't know. One rumour is that putting Doohan in the car ramps up the pressure on Franco Colapinto's management now that Red Bull has lost interest in the Argentine. The theory is that team advisor Flavio Briatore wants to drive down the cost of securing Colapinto as a last-minute replacement for Doohan next year. As far as RMC Sport is concerned, however, Ocon's ousting is just a case of disastrous human management, something that Alpine are serial offenders in. Oakes responded, "We are not here to be nice. I don't agree with it at all. What I've read about, I know we've treated Esteban. But either way, we're heading here to race. At the end of the day, he's going to drive for another team, and I'm only concerned about Alpine. We have to move on." People don't know the whole story, so it's easy to comment from behind your screen. Esteban has been a big part of this team, but every chapter has to end so another can begin. And we kept our word, and he will be able to test with Haas. We are acting in the interests of the team. We are not here just for Esteban. And for me, it's very important that Jack can drive the car now to be better prepared for next season. It will also be good for Esteban to be able to build his relationships now with all the people that he will be working with next year, Oakes added. Although he's not racing racing this weekend, Ocon is already in Abu Dhabi to prepare for his Haas test next week. He told Canal Plus, "It's a bit of a sad ending because after 5 years of collaboration with the team, I wanted to thank all the people who I worked with at Viry and Enstone." When asked what happened, the Frenchman revealed, "It was the team's decision. It was important for my future to be able to drive with my next team in Abu Dhabi, and they, Alpine, wouldn't let me if I did this last race. So we had to conclude that we shouldn't do this last race and start the next chapter in the best way possible." But it's a sad ending. That's odd from Alpine. I mean, guys, you probably know the lineups for this postseason test better than I do. I don't know which drivers are going to be competing on this on the top of my head for every team, aside from some of the rookies. But surely there are some drivers that are going to be taking part in that postseason test that are taking part in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix race weekend. At least those that are in the race itself, you know. So why couldn't Ocon compete for Alpine this weekend and then next week go to Haas? I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do that. So the story that Alpine are saying that Haas, you know, the only way they could get Esteban in the car would be if, you know, if he was released early. And to be frank as well, and I think Oliver Oak said this himself, his only interest is Alpine, and it should be. That's right, he's the team principal of Alpine. So why is he caring about Haas so much? Why does he want Haas to have Ocon for a longer amount of time? Why is he wanting to give his rivals a bigger advantage? Why is he wanting to give his rivals an advantage during this weekend as well? You know, if Alpine lose 6th in the Constructors' Championship this weekend, it's all on them. It's all on them. You know, putting Doohan in the car. Like I've said, Doohan's a great driver. I think he's got a great future in the team. But Ocon would probably do better in that car this weekend. I don't really rate Ocon that highly, but you're talking about an experienced Grand Prix driver compared to a rookie, and also one that's been in the car the entire season compared to one who's only been in it for a couple days. So for me, this story doesn't add up. And Komatsu's saying that, oh well, you know, we knew he was going to be released long before this. Oaks told us. I'm inclined to believe Haas and Ocon on this one. I don't believe Alpine. Alpine, you know, they're an absolute basket case behind the scenes. They're, you know, catastrophic human resource management. That is just them in a nutshell. They're terrible for it. I mean, I've heard stories, and I can't talk about the stories, but I've heard stories about that team, about what's alleged to have happened over the years and the way they go out their business. And I can't repeat it on here because, you know, I don't want to be saying something that could potentially be untrue. But if these things I've heard are true, I don't even know how they're still functioning. You know, honestly, it's incredible, really, how they've been run into the ground. That's the best way to put it. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Do you believe Ocon? Do you believe Haas? Do you believe Alpine? Why is Jack Doohan in the car this weekend instead of Ocon? What's the true story here? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below as always. So, according to this article on the F1Chronicle.com, the current spat, the rivalry, the feud, the fracas, whatever you want to call it, this war of words between George Russell and Max Verstappen could actually be political. Now, this is the first time I've heard this, but let's have a look at what this is saying. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com, guys. The spotlight is shining ever more brightly on George Russell in the wake of his public spat with Max Verstappen. The saga, in which the Mercedes driver furiously accused Verstappen of threatening with violence and a crash in Qatar over a qualifying penalty, has now been completely pulled in their respective F1 team bosses. Toto Wolff of Mercedes has accused Red Bull's Christian Horner of yapping like a little terrier for calling Russell hysterical. In response, Horner said in Abu Dhabi on Friday, "I'd rather be a terrier than a wolf." Okay, I know what he's trying to say, but I'd rather be a wolf, mate. Wolves are cool. Terriers are just annoying. It was Russell, though, who accused the quadruple world champion Verstappen of being a bully and threatening to put me on my head in the wall at the start of Qatar. I think Russell's being a bit intense, former F1 driver Guido van der Garde told Viaplay. He's really going way too far. And I agreed with that, with what Guido is saying there, but I just want to pull that back to the last quote. And again, this is just what I'm hearing in my comment section because, guys, honestly, the support that you guys gave me on my latest video to do with this, on YouTube in particular, loads of comments on there. Apparently, and this is just going off of my comments, I don't know if this is true or not, but a few things as well. Apparently, I think David Croft has actually come out, the Sky F1 commentator, for you guys that don't know. He's come out and said that apparently that was not said during the steward's kind of inquiry into the incident. So apparently, you know, Verstappen did say something like, "I'm going to lead into turn one. I'm going to take you out into turn turn one. It's like, or like I'm gonna lead into turn one, or I'm gonna retire from the race. Which some people might say, oh, that's threatening, you can't do that. Come on, man, grow up. Like, this is Formula One. This is grown men we're talking about here. You know, you gotta lay down a marker, and you gotta go for that top dog position. And hell, Verstappen took it. He did exactly what he said. Apparently, he did not say that about crashing him off and putting him into the wall, which is, yeah, that'd be a bit much, I would admit. But apparently, he didn't say that. And also, on top of that, as well as that, the Netflix cameras for the Drive to Survive documentary for this season, which will obviously come out, was it March 25? They captured this as well, and apparently, according to this, nothing like that was said either. So I'm hearing a few reports that quote from Russell isn't true, which doesn't surprise me, to be honest, but hey ho, there we go. Just some extra context from a last video for you guys. Red Bull advisor Dr. Helmut Marko predictably sided with his driver. I believe him when he says that Russell didn't stick to the truth in his portrayal of events, he told Sport F1. And again, in the steward's room, we don't know what was said there. All we know is the result of it, the outcome. And we're just going off of what Russell and Verstappen said. But I tell you what, I'd be shocked if Russell told the whole truth, because I think if he told the whole truth, then there wouldn't have been a penalty. I just can't see how the stewards would have gone for it. I'm surprised they even went for it anyway, to be honest, but there we go. Max is going to be a father, but that will only make him naturally a strong character, even more so. He doesn't let himself be manipulated and always says what he thinks. Congratulations to Verstappen and Kelly Piquet as well. I think I already said that in a video before, but hey, great news. Really wholesome video of Max saying as well, just say, yeah, I'm kind of already a dad anyway, but it's a really wonderful feeling, which, you know, I like that. I like that. Many in the paddock agree Russell reacted too sensitively. Ooh, sensitive boy. Said former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher. He's playing the drama queen on too much. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, absolutely. Lando Norris added, I don't think Max is trying to intimidate anybody. He just says it as it is, even if these days people don't want to always hear the truth. True that. It is also emerging that when the F1 drivers met for their end of season dinner just days ago, Verstappen said, hi George, but the British driver moved his chair to sit at the opposite end of the table. Oh, if that's true, that's pathetic from Russell, right? You know, don't let the professional stuff become personal. He's taking this stuff personally as Russell, but I think he's probably frustrated with himself deep down, or he should be anyway, because he's acted like a spoiled brat through all this. Dutch racing driver Indy Dontier. I was going to read IndyCar driver for a second. That really threw me his first name, or their first name, I should say. It told Ziggo Sport that Russell's behaviour may well disqualify him from representing all the F1 stars as a senior director of the GPDA, and that is something that people have been hypothesising as well about in my comment section as well, and I agree that, you know, he is the driver's representative to the DA, basically, you know, the vice president or whatever it is. So he's not really putting himself in a position where he should be that, you know. Acting like this is just plain wrong, in my opinion. That's a bit of a problem now, because in principle he should represent the group of drivers, but he has indicated that he has no respect for one of them. And also Verstappen's got no respect for Russell, but I don't really blame Verstappen on that one. It's believed that FIA is not interested in intervening in the spat, while Dontier thinks that Russell's motivation may well be political. Maybe he knows that Max is coming that way in 2026, he said, referring to rumours that Verstappen could be signed for Mercedes. Oh, okay. If he ends up sitting next to Max, it's war. Even at the dinner table, apparently. Otherwise, he could even take away his seat. He is setting something up, said the 32-year-old. Red Bull's Marko is keen to sweep the matter under the rug for now. We have to focus on the car, he said. If the drivers are fighting with each other, it's nothing to do with fixing the technical problems with our car. Oh, right, okay, so fair bit in there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think with this one, because, like, as much as Toto Wolff has stuck up for George Russell, as far as I can tell, and I might be misremembering things, I did cover this story. As far as I can tell, I don't think that in this current spat, at least, Toto Wolff has criticised Verstappen. He's criticised Christian Horner and what he said. I don't think he spoke about what Verstappen said, and he supported his driver Russell, which, okay, as wrong as Russell is, in my opinion, over all this, you know, as a representative of the team, you got to back your guy, you know, whether he's wrong or not, you got to back your guy, you know, it's simple as that. You know, it's like if, I don't know, your girlfriend's in an argument with someone or something, you know, you got to back your girl. Or like if somebody, you know, says something nasty about your kids or something, you know, you got to back your kid. You got to stick up for him. Simple as that. 100%. But there's two bad examples of that, actually. If you know what I mean? You got, especially in a team sport like Formula One, you gotta go for it. And I wouldn't rule out Verstappen going to Mercedes one day. I really wouldn't. But I think the much more likely thing, to be honest, is for him to go to Aston Martin. I feel like there's so much water on the bridge when it comes to Mercedes. Taking all this Russell stuff aside, even if Verstappen went to Mercedes and Russell goes to Red Bull, because remember, not long ago, Christian Horner was coming out in the media and saying, if George Russell's available for 2026, who are we to say no? I bet he wouldn't say that now. After all this, 100% no. 100% no. No way is he going for him. So that rumour, that move in the future is kiboshed right there. Absolutely. So, yeah, I really do think that, Russell's his position at the GPDA is under threat with this. Do the drivers really want this guy to be representing them? Verstappen certainly doesn't. I think deep down, even the likes of Sir Lewis Hamilton probably doesn't at this point. Maybe he'll go for it. Who knows? But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this, guys. I've talked for a while about this, it's fair to say. I've done many videos on this whole kind of war of words and everything, and it's showing no signs of really slowing down. And although nothing happened in qualifying today, which I thought might be the case given what happened with the penalty in Qatar, the race tomorrow is a different story, and I think that Russell and Verstappen are not too far away from each other on the track. I'm recording this on Saturday night. I can't remember where they both qualified. I think Max was 5th and Russell's like 7th or something off the top of my head, so it could get ugly into turn 1. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. So we already know the news that the Dutch Grand Prix will run for a final time in 2026 before leaving the calendar potentially forever. And there's some interesting news pieces coming out in the wake of this. I mean, it's sad news. I've already had my say on it when the announcement was made yesterday. Go check out that video, of course, if you haven't already. But yeah, there's an interesting one here saying that Zandvoort chose to stop before Max Verstappen retires. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Max Verstappen when he'll retire from Formula One, and how he says in his own words he's already more than halfway through his career, and he wants to go and experience other things in life, which, fair enough, man. Nothing wrong with that. If I had all the money and the financial security of Max Verstappen, I wouldn't even be racing anymore personally. I'd be like Vettel. I just want to chill, man. Spend some time with the family, travel around in the caravan or whatever, But let's have a look what's been said here, because obviously the Dutch Grand Prix is a sellout every year, and Max Verstappen, of course, is hugely popular in his home nation, as you would expect. But there are no other Dutch Formula One drivers, and there's not likely to be a Dutch Formula One driver as popular as Max, maybe ever again. I mean, there's nobody coming through that's, with the greatest of respect to him, the likes of Richard for sure. If he ever makes it to F1, he's not going to be as popular as Max Verstappen. The guy's an absolute legend in the Netherlands, and for a lot of people around the world. Being a 4-time champion will do that for you. And, I don't really know what Formula One was like in terms of the fans of actually going to events before the Dutch fans, kind of took over the European round, the Orangian army going everywhere. Because my first Grand Prix that I attended was in 2017, and there were loads of Dutch fans there even then, even though Max was only in his 3rd season of Formula One. But I would say that before Max, came into F1, that there wasn't really that many orange shirts wearing Dutch fans. There were probably quite a few Dutch fans there. I don't know. I'm just going off of my own experience. It doesn't go far enough back to before a time where Max Verstappen was in Formula One, so I can't say. But clearly, going off of this article on the F1Chronicle.com, the organisers of the race are concerned about what would happen if Max Verstappen leaves the sport, and they would potentially lose millions of euros if the crowds aren't full. Even with the event being full, I think they're still losing money. So imagine if it's half empty. I don't think it would be, but it could potentially happen. Anyway, let's read this out. The Dutch Grand Prix organiser admits that it was the popular Zandvoort event's decision to step away from Formula One after 2026. Echoing F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali's sentiments in the official statement, circuit boss Robert van Overdijk admitted that to the broadcaster NOS that there were several options on the table. We could have rotated with other circuits, and there were also possibilities to continue annually, he said. We made a lot of considerations, and this is the outcome. Ultimately, it's our choice. Those in Formula One may be surprised, but they certainly respect and understand us. They know how we work. Indeed, as the Dutch Grand Prix is not supported financially by local or federal governments, the private organiser takes the full financial risk each race. And if Max Verstappen decides to retire after 2026, the grandstands may well no longer be easy to fill. 3 days in a row of sold out tickets is essential for us to be profitable, Van Overdijk confirmed. It's a thin line. A one-off dip is not so bad, but we cannot structurally afford to attract fewer visitors. Max has 4 world titles now, and he has also won 3 times at Zandvoort, so it suits us to stop at the peak. We are not going to wait until the interest decreases and then pull the plug. We are not going to make ourselves completely dependent on what Max is going to do. It could also go another way, of course. Well, Van Overdijk continued, maybe he will drive for another team in 2026. Well, then it would be a very special final edition. He said that he isn't sure what F1's next move will be, but he can imagine a state-funded race like the one in Qatar or Saudi Arabia will fill the gap. Of course, we can see that happening, said the Dutchman. The world of Formula 1 has changed. Van Overdijk also denied that so publicly, admitting that 2026 is definitely the final race day is not a ploy to attract government backing at the 11th hour. No, we are not looking for crowdfunding or any suggestions that may now come along. We are definitely stopping, he said. Responding to the news that 2026 will be the Red Bull driver's last home GP for now, Verstappen's manager Raymond Vermeulen. Let's go Vermeulen. We are proud that F1 has found its way to Zandvoort, partly because of Max. It is well known that Zandvoort has a different financial model than many other races on the calendar. They have to make ends meet, and they are entered into this without government support. In many other countries, they think Formula 1 races are good for the economy, hence the government support they receive there. But we are now looking forward to 2 more great races in the Netherlands. So there we go, guys. Yeah, I mean, kind of echoed what I said in the intro there. I understand it from their point of view, and at the end of the day, if the Dutch government doesn't want to step in to back the event, then that's their prerogative. I mean, I'm from the UK. The British Grand Prix is not supported by our government, and how would I feel about government funds going towards funding a British Grand Prix? I mean, as an F1 fan, I wouldn't be too annoyed by that personally, but there's a lot of non-F1 fans in the UK, probably way more people who don't follow F1 than there are that do. I'd say quite comfortably, to be honest. So, you know, it's one of them things. I'm sad to see it go. I think ultimately the biggest reason for this, personally, I would admit, I know Van Overdijk's saying about Max Verstappen and stuff like that, but I think the reason why it's been canned is because it is a financial one, and it's just that the race hosting fees are too high. And now Dominicali's on about this, you know, once every couple of years thing, the race rotation scheme for European Grand Prix, and the Dutch Grand Prix isn't interested in that. And unfortunately, I've got a bad feeling this will have a knock-on effect that the Belgian Grand Prix will go as well after 26, or is it after 25? I know their contract is running out soon, and there was rumours about the only way they could afford to stay on the calendar being to rotate with Zandvoort. Zandvoort doesn't want to rotate though, so we'll have to see. Maybe they'll make a U-turn and say, yeah, we'll go once every year with Belgium, but they sound pretty kind of set in their ways when it comes to leaving, which is sad. But unfortunately, as Overdijk said, Formula 1 has changed, and indeed it will continue to change. But what are your thoughts, guys? Is this the reason why the Dutch Grand Prix is being dropped after a couple more years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So, I saw an interesting topic pop up on Reddit, actually, for a change. Basically going over a award that a certain FIA President, Mohammed bin Sulayem, was awarded last night in the UAE ahead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. At least I believe it's there. He should be round there anyway because it's the final race of the season, you would think. But honestly, it's one of them ones where you just see and you just think, no, that can't be real. Is that real? Are people just taking the mick? Are they making this up for some laughs? No, it's real. It's definitely real, because I've gone to the FIA's own website, and basically he's awarded himself an award to do with, you know, helping tackle online abuse. Now, as a content creator, I know a fair bit about online abuse. I get it on a daily basis pretty much, but I just kind of shrug it off, you know. It comes with the territory. But you know what? We should all absolutely bow down and praise the FIA president, because you know what I've noticed? Online abuse, since he's took over, it's gone right down, hasn't it? It's well down on what it used to be, and it's all because of him. So let's have a look at what this prestigious, honourable man has won. The United Against Online Abuse, a campaign founded by the president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, and supported by the FIA Foundation, has been recognised with Peace and Support's Coalition for Peace Award for its pioneering efforts in tackling the growing issue of online abuse in sport. The award, presented by the Peace and Sport Forum in 2024 in Monaco, it was in Monaco, not the UAE, I do apologise for that, celebrates the role in uniting the global sports community, national governments and regulators to drive meaningful change. As an international coalition, UAOA, that's the online abuse campaign, I didn't say that at the start, is honoured to be recognised for its extensive work in convening the world of sport and political world to bring about lasting change. Since its launch in 2022, the campaign has made significant strides in establishing itself as a collaborative, dynamic and proactive campaign. It's already secured partnerships with 27 international sporting federation, NGOs and national governments, published 10 academies studies that have set new global benchmarks in the research of online abuse, launched a free educational module with over 150 participants, and sponsored 4 scholars at Dublin City University to further research on the topic. This Coalition for Peace Award reflects the FIA's leadership in founding and supporting the campaign, which has already rapidly become the leading voice in the fight against online abuse and hate speech in sport. I could tell you anything for nothing, right? I can tell you this, right? The amount of abuse online has not decreased since 2022. It's just not. It's got worse. It's probably got worse. This, honestly, I mean, I'll put it in the thumbnail probably, and I will try and find the Reddit user who made the picture, or at least shared it, and credit them in the video. I'll put it in the video as well. It'll be in the top section. It's mirrored on my camera. I always point the wrong way with it. It'll be up there. But that's basically it. It's basically the Obama meme where it's like, you know, he's awarding himself a medal. That's all he's doing here. I mean, all I'm going to say, right, and I'm not saying this is what MBS is. You can make your own mind up here, but I'm just saying a fact here. Dictators usually award themselves medals. Have you ever noticed, like, I don't know, like old images of Idi Amin, you know, the Ugandan dictator from back in the day, you know, the guy used to have so many medals on his chest, like there was no room for anything else. They just give themselves awards, like military honors and stuff like that, despite never fighting in an actual battle, or not anytime recently anyway. You know, this just reeks as that, just like, you know what, people are abusing me, you know, Oscar Piastri is snubbing me on the Qatar cooldown. Did you see that really awkward handshake between the two of them? That was weird. I felt like making a video on that, but I thought I don't really have enough to go on there to kind of get the context, and I think we all know it anyway. It's a bit similar to what happened with Hamilton and MBS as well. So yeah, there we go, guys. The FIA president trying to legitimize his glorious leadership of the FIA.